Are you striving for financial growth but feel limited by your current income? Tired of long commutes that steal precious family time? Concerned about rising bills? You're in the right place. The highestpaid.online's Black Friday sale offers a 25% discount on our VIP program with code November25. This program includes over 45 content classes, bi-monthly live broadcasts, 4 hours of personal consultation, 3 hours of mindset counseling, and an exclusive Discord community. Though valued at $25,000 annually, it's yours for a fraction. You'll get it for much less. Plus, receive our bonus PDF. Don't make the biggest investing mistake of your lifetime. We've partnered with Affirm and Afterpay for flexible payment options. Visit highestpaid.online and elevate your financial journey with our VIP program. The economic climate is shifting. Ensure you're prepared. Act now.
Yo, I am such an airhead. I'm like, yep, 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 yep. And I'm looking here and the chat is there and y'all saying, no, so sorry. I was on a roll and I was sounding so professional. Oh my God. I'm so sorry. Testing. Can you hear me? Maybe before I start, I should be like testing, testing 1, 2, 3. Can you hear me? I'm so sorry, guys. I'm so sorry. Um, Damn it. All right, so let me start from the beginning. Hi. Okay, so today we are going to talk about Chicago migrant crisis. We're going to stay on Chicago. Chicago right now is somewhat of a hotbed when we're talking about the migrant crisis. Why? Because just like New York City, they don't have a plan. So I want to stay in Chicago, but I want to stay on this migrant crisis in New York, in Denver, in California, and anywhere else in this nation that has a sanctuary city. But I want to focus on Chicago because I want to talk about the mayor's press conference he held yesterday. I want to talk about Ukrainian migrants and the difference between the Ukrainian migrants and the Venezuela / South American migrants. We got to talk about that Chicago Reparations Committee. Oh, everything is a money grab and it's a money scam, right? And yeah, and I want you guys to join the show. So I am going to drop the StreamYard link for whoever want to come up and talk about, what we're talking about today. And I also want to mention, as you can see in the title, I put the UFC. What did I put? UFC Senate something. What was it? UFC Senate Showdown. Damn. UFC Senate Showdown, because it was about to be a fight, honey, in the city committee hearing yesterday. And Bernie Sanders' old ass tried to break it up. So I'm going to play that clip later on. But so yeah. So let me share the press conference and let's get started, because I really want you guys to come up and have enough airtime to, say what you want to say. Let me put this over here. Let me share the screen. Let's see. Yeah. What are we doing here? What are we doing? Should I go here? No, I want to go here. Yeah, let's go here. All right. So he held a press conference in Chicago, Mayor Brandon Johnson. Oh, and I also mentioned when I was muted that Dr. Umar Johnson event was canceled, and I reported that in my video today. And what I did find in this press conference is the difference between Chicago reporters and New York City reporters. Chicago reporters are way more aggressive with way more attitude. They really get on these politicians, as opposed to New York. They're more professional, want to ask the questions. All right, so here we go. This is Mayor Brandon Johnson addresses city response to migrant crisis during a Q&A with the media.
Mayor, can you please share some specific steps you guys talked about to address the racial divisions that have been, heated because of the migrant influx? And is that knocking on doors? Is that events? Is that, faith events? What kind of specific steps are you going to take to heal?
Yeah, well, I think the first thing is that we have to tell the entire truth and the entire story. Because this notion that it's only Black people who are concerned about the migrant crisis is not true. That's right. So some of the conversation around this division, there are individuals who want to score political points, to sow these negative seeds, to get us fighting one another. But in order for me to have an entire commission dedicated to reparations, as well as an entire office dedicated to reentry, a dedicated revenue stream for the unhoused, that requires Black, brown, and white votes. In fact, the city council has actually demonstrated that even the things that Black folks are concerned about, that it turns out that other members of city council agree. Look, the whole impetus behind what's happening at the border is for extremism in this country to plant these seeds of negativity to divide our city. And so what we are doing as a city is what this city did when they elected me, is that we surround ourselves around our values. We speak to our values by passing paid time off, by abolishing sub-minimum wage, which of course is going to benefit Black and brown people, and that we're going to continue to do what we do best, and that's organize our communities around the values that make the city of Chicago the greatest city in the world.
Okay, so this is 14 minutes, 2 minutes in. I'm going to let it play another 2 minutes, and then I want to comment, because I want to bring up some stuff.
We're here with a number of Black pastors, and one of the issues that we've seen happen or not happen is Black churches stepping up to take in some of these migrants. Did your discussions today include any discussions about Black churches stepping up? And are you asking pastors to do that part in this situation?
The beauty of this moment is that I don't have to ask people who are tethered to a faith that's bigger than a government to step up and do right by people. There are Black leaders that are stepping up and leaning in and supporting migrants in this moment. there are black pastors who are stepping up and making sure that the dollars that are appropriated for violence prevention, that the council was prepared to vote for that. You know, the whole work around reentry, Reverend Marshall Hatch has an entire village on the west side of Chicago called the Ma Alpha Project that is dedicated to making sure that individuals who are formerly incarcerated get another chance at economic security.
What about the migrants? Have you had any discussions about
What I'm saying is that black leaders in this city have always stood up for what is right. They're doing what they've always done, which is leaning in and supporting not just this crisis, but every single crisis that this city has had to endure. What we don't ever have to debate is where the black church stands when it comes to justice. And this situation is no different. I've answered your question.
I haven't heard you answer the question.
Which part of my question are you not understanding? What part of my answer that you're not understanding? What I'm saying is that they've already done it, is what I'm saying. They're already done it.
I don't understand.
You don't understand that they've already done it? Can we move on? Because apparently, I've said it repeatedly, that let me just, I'm clear, that black pastors have already stepped up in this moment. Of course, we're having conversations about how the federal government and the state government has to do more. But I wanted to be emphatically clear, because if you're not hearing it, I want you to hear it clear. Black pastors are stepping up as they always have stepped up.
I do have a different question, but I am going to back up my colleague in saying, I think he's just asking how many churches have taken in families. Our churches taking families. That's it.
Sure. Well, a number of them have stepped up, and we're going to continue to push for more of them to step up.
All right, but I do have a question on a different topic.
All right. So before she answers her question, I kind of want to piggyback because, yeah, why did he ask the question about black churches in the first place? Like, well, we know Catholic charities, they have been helping out with the migrant crisis heavy. However, what about other churches? What about, the mosques? You have the Nation of Islam, you have the Jewish community there. It's a lot of other religious communities there. Why did that reporter specifically ask about black pastors? Maybe it's because if that reporter did any research on black churches today, the black church don't do anything to help the community. If you're not doing anything, in your current existence in the black community, black churches, if you're not doing anything to help the black community, whether it's creating banks, community banks, or programs, after school programs, work programs, whatever. If you're not doing what you need to do to help your community, maybe you are not helping the migrants, or maybe you are helping the migrants to get that federal government money while you still ignoring the black people in your community, black churches, black pastors. So maybe that's where that question was coming from. But instead of him asking that, instead of him saying, hey, the black pastors and black churches don't even help black people in their community, but are they helping the illegal migrants? See, he didn't ask that direct question. He was trying to go around it. But the mayor did say the black churches are helping the migrants. But my question to the black pastors and the black churches, what are you doing to help black people? You only want to help black people if it's a check attached to it? Because remember, under President George Bush Jr., when he passed the religious policy or something with the churches, to where the churches have to kind of adhere to the federal government. So they get a certain amount of money now from the federal government to do or not to do certain things in their congregation. So of course, these black churches are going to help out these illegal migrants, because best believe they're going to get a check from the state and federal government. But at the same time, they have done nothing for the black community. Now, in the beginning, you heard this mayor say that they created a reparations committee in Chicago. So now you're starting to see across this nation in black communities, right, where majority of black people are at, these reparations committees are popping up. They have one in Memphis, in New York, they have one in New Jersey. But then you have to look at who's in charge of these reparations committee. Judge Joe Brown has said it several times that you have a white Jewish man in charge of the reparations committee in Memphis. And I said, okay, well, because today we're focused on Chicago, what is this reparations committee in Chicago? So I'm going to pause this right here. I'm going to get back to this press conference because he's going to go in and talk about the Ukrainian immigrants. But I want to highlight the reparations, the Chicago Reparations Committee, so that you could see that it's a money grab, that it's basically a scam. Because look at your board of directors. Cam Howard, he's a consultant. You have, I don't know who this Patrice Boyce, I don't know this Lakeisha Lantham, who's secretary treasurer. Now, if I do a background check on all of these people, they're probably Pan-Africanists. They're probably people from, immigrants from other countries, whether it's Caribbean or different African countries, or they probably have a shady background, pandering to Black people, but not doing anything for Black people. But I do know of a Cam Howard, and he's full of it because he's been dragged all over on Twitter. He does not believe in American descendants of slavery or freedmen, Black freedmen reparations. Here are your directors, right? And I wanted to scroll down. So this is the board of directors. The mayor or whatever. Welcome to the City of Chicago's Reparation Commission, a grassroots community project bringing people together for input, data, education, and to liaison with Chicago City Council. What the hell is that? That has nothing to do with reparations. Nothing to do with reparations. Let's see about. Oh, it says here. The city of Chicago is working on African descendant reparations. African, bingo, the bullshit. This is why I'm calling it a scam. I'm not African. I am a Black American. I am an American descendant of enslaved people. I believe that I do have relatives that my lineage, they signed, they were part of the Black Freedmen Bureau. I'm not African. So the city of Chicago is working on African descendant reparations. That tells me that you're working on reparations for people that came over here from Nigeria, Ghana, South Africa. They could all claim in the pot. What about the Black people in Chicago who migrated from the South to the North, who were redlined, who was segregated against, who lost their jobs, who were pushed into poverty by way of public policies? Ghettos were created in these cities. What about those people? After slavery, during pre-construction, Jim Crow, Civil Rights Movement, the crack era, the prison pipeline, the prison era, mass incarceration. That's the word I was looking for. Now is the time to get involved and be heard in your community. What does reparation look like for you? It doesn't look African. So when you see these cities that pop up with these reparation committees, you gotta understand it's a money grab. And that money is not going in your pocket or your family pocket or in your community. Conrad Worrell Community Reparations Committee, established in 2020. It is a tax-deductible 501c3 not-for-profit organization. Black Chicagoans, like Blacks throughout the country, deserve redress from harmful actions taken and not taken by their government that has resulted in massive social economic disparities and separate and unequal quality of life. This community, through one voice, must engage with city officials to ensure proper redress is gained. The Conrad Worrell Community Reparations Commission was created to bring together diverse elements of the Black community for its efforts. This is Cam Newton, who was the president. And what I'm saying to you, sir, and people like him, they say Blacks throughout the country. They're not saying anything that has to do with Jim Crow, anything that has to do with descendants of the enslaved here. So they're making it for everybody who is Black or look Black or who checked off African American or Black or what have you, other than white, basically. There was something here at the bottom that I came, this. So they're partners. Who are they partnered with? Wait a minute. It was something. This is the about section. Wait a minute. Home. Let's scroll. No, wasn't this. Something that I came across. What is this? Okay, so this link doesn't even work. Gallery, apply, events, poll. Let's see events. No, this is not it. Community meetings. So when you click on community meetings, nothing comes up, which is odd. This is really odd. But they are in connection with Cobra, NARC, all of these organizations that are anti-Black American, basically. So let me go back to the press conference. So I just wanted to highlight that Chicago, in the midst of all of this migrant crisis stuff, that reparations committee is still in effect. And you need to go to that website. Just type in Chicago Reparations Committee. And I think Black people of Chicago, y'all need to start raising hell to disband that reparations committee, or to show up when they have these meetings or the next council meeting. But like, hey, what is going on with this reparations committee? Because you are not representing true Black Americans who deserve it. You're trying to lump everybody in on it. Because now if you are from an immigrant from South America, or if you're a Dominican, Puerto Rican, yeah, you could say you're Black. And then you will still qualify because of that African. They say, well, I'm African descent. I'm Afro Puerto Rican, Afro Dominican, Afro Venezuelan. It's bullshit.
Talk a little bit about your pick as the new health commissioner, why she was chosen, and why you believe she will make a better health commissioner than Allison Arwood.
Well, as you know, public health is an important part of my administration, and as I've said repeatedly, our work to pass treatment, not trauma, was an essential part of my campaign, and we've delivered on that promise. Opening up mental health clinics, which were shut down by a couple of administrations ago, that we are obviously moving with expedition to make sure that public health reaches every single neighborhood. Dr. Ige is an incredible human being. Quite frankly, she really imbibes the collaborative, competent, compassionate spirit that I've said from the very beginning that leadership in my administration has to imbibe. And the vote and the confidence that she has from community leaders, as well as key stakeholders that understand that public health has to be a system of care, that she represents the values in which the people of Chicago want to see in their public health commission.
Mayor, in addition to what you said a moment ago about the efforts of clergy stepping up to address the migrant crisis and your calls repeatedly on the state and federal government to step in for help, given all of that, is it time for your office to acknowledge that the city is struggling to address the needs of this crisis?
I don't know which part of my time as in 6 months as mayor that we have not acknowledged that we cannot bear the responsibility alone. That this responsibility, of course, has placed a tremendous amount of stress on families. That has always been acknowledged.
But I guess specifically at our juncture now, I mean, we're entering winter months. It's getting colder. I think people are curious about what is the assessment of the proposed base camps. I mean, I don't know that people have seen tents pop up or things happening. So
We
guess
have stood up. Yeah, I think I
is-
understand your question. I think
Yeah.
I understand the second part of
Sure.
your question. Is that what are we doing in this moment?
Right. Is the city
Yeah.
moving quickly enough to address this crisis?
Well, look, I've stood up a brand new shelter every single week since I've been in office. That we renegotiated a contract with a staffing agency that I inherited to reduce costs. We put out RFPs for support for individuals who can help manage facilities, as well as provide food and support. But what we can't lose sight of is that the plan that I have put forth and I've carried out, that it requires investments from the state and the federal government. I've said that repeatedly. I've pushed hard for, national policy to reflect the demands of this moment. I've said from the very beginning that foreign policy, particularly the sanctions that have been placed on Central and South America, has exacerbated the economic turmoil that these countries have had to endure as a result of bad foreign policy. I'm grateful that President Biden has eased those sanctions. It has caused some level of stability around the border, and they have to still do more. And so my work continues as we continue to administer our plan to remove people out of police stations who are sleeping on floors, pregnant women and children, and putting them into a temporary shelter that gives them a little bit more dignity.
Is there any update on the 18 California agreement that the city recently signed? What would you say to Alderman Julia Ramirez, who claimed for more transparency, and residents have been protesting that they don't want migrants over there?
Well, we continue to have conversations with alders across the city, and my job is to make sure that we are identifying sites that can ultimately help us deal with this crisis. But make no mistake about it, that the plan that we have in place requires the state and the federal government to lean in to provide additional support. Now, my administration has been very clear that without the state and federal government leaning in, providing more financial support for our city, that the sustainability of this operation just becomes that much more arduous.
What about the agreement on the environmental issues over there?
So I'm glad you mentioned the environmental dynamic that I'm dealing with as mayor. It's why I've reinstituted the Department of the Environment. It's why we push for this cumulative impact study. Quite frankly, it's why we've been that much more thorough on these sites to make sure that whatever environmental dynamics that exist there, if it's not suitable, we obviously will have to address that. Unfortunately, environmental justice has not been the prevailing form of leadership in this city for a very long time. My administration has taken this head on, and I'm confident that, during this crisis, as we continue to explore other sites, that if environmental hazards do materialize, then of course it's incumbent upon my administration, as I've committed to do, is to address it.
I have another question. Do you have any information about migrants from Venezuela being deported from here Indiana Airport to Venezuela?
I'm not aware of that.
I did find it interesting that Pastor Gordon told us he was on the trip, since we never knew he went on the trip, since we were never given a list of anyone who went on the trip. Good to hear it now, but it would have been nice to hear it before. But that's my comment, not my question. My question is, there are reports of electricity being installed at the vacant lot at 115th and Halsted today. So why is there no official announcement that a tent city is going to come when you've said you haven't made a decision, but yet there's electricity being put in?
Here's what I've said. Whether it's that particular site or the site on 38th in California, that we have assessed both of those sites, and what needed to happen last week happened, where there was an additional step to make sure that all voices were heard that have had desires for that particular section of the city to be invested in. Now, throughout this entire process, I've had conversations with community members, and the community, particularly in the 21st Ward, wanted to have yet another conversation, and we did that. And we have not made it, we've always made it clear that the whole point of acquiring that land was not just for the economic development that we will see at the end of this crisis, at least this iteration of the crisis, but the whole impetus behind that particular agreement was so that development would happen there. So I've always been very clear about that particular site, that it will ultimately become a space where the people of the 21st Ward will have an opportunity to grow and develop, but it also will be a site like many other sites that we are assessing to help us deal with this particular crisis.
So when will the tents go in?
So, you know, the process by which these tents are erected, it's actually quite thorough. So, you know, as we continue to, again, not just assess the sites around environmental justice, but, you know, the entire capacity that these sites will ultimately be asked to carry, it's incumbent upon my administration to be as thorough as possible. And so I'm moving with expediency. Again, the ultimate goal is to remove people out of police stations and get them off the floors of police stations, and of course remove them from outside. So thank you all very much.
Would you ever consider turning the buses around? The buses arrive here saying, you know what, there's no more room at the end. We no longer have capacity to take anyone else. Maybe it's time to turn the buses around.
Look, do we need better immigration policy in this country? Everybody recognizes that. And
This is the part that I was waiting for.
And I've said this repeatedly, you know, that foreign policy and national policy has not done its due diligence to meet this particular crisis, but the crisis that existed well beyond this moment. And here's the part that's actually worth reporting, I think, it's my opinion, is that when 30,000 Ukrainians arrived in this city who were seeking refuge here, there was no discussion, none. There are more Ukrainian, just give me a second, all right? There are more Ukrainian refugees here in the city of Chicago than asylum seekers. And no one raised a single question. And you know why? Because they had federal dollars attached to them. What I'm simply saying is that if we're going to have real equity and parity in this country, we have to make sure that our policies reflect true equity and that they're consistent. So
All right. So that's what I want to focus on now, because he's right. Everybody was quiet. Black people, white people, you know, immigrant people who are citizens. When 30,000 Ukrainians came over here, and that was in 2022, and they're still coming now. And that's just in Chicago, 30,000 in 1 year. And which is more than the illegal migrants that are coming here from the border. But why is the Ukraine migrants not illegal? Because they were automatically guaranteed as and was approved for asylum seekers. And they were approved for work permits. And I'm going to pull up the IDHS for Ukraine. And we're going to compare it to the recent migrants, right? So this is the Illinois Department of Human Services. Let's see all the wonderful things that the Ukrainian newcomers, the support services that they received. They got refuge resettlement agency programs and services available for Ukraine's food connections, emergencies and transitional housing program, child care assistance, school and education, Medicaid, federal qualified health center, mental health. Oh, I heard the bombs. I have PTSD. Immigration legal services and other helpful information. Assistance for sponsors and Ukrainians. Sponsors can reach out to agencies listed below to ask for assistance. These agencies have experience and expertise. Refugee Resettlement Agency Program. Now, not only does this applies to the Ukrainians, but also to the Afghans. I don't know how to say it. Is it Afghanistanians? I'll be saying it wrong. But the people that the refugees from Afghan, when Biden pulled out of Afghanistan, and you saw all the men, cowardly men, leaving the women and children behind, hopping on the planes, falling off the planes to get here. They were placed on a military base, if you guys forgot, until they were able to be placed in housing. So why can't the migrants crossing the border be placed on military bases? Because this administration, the Biden administration, said they could come. They are giving them expedited asylum seeking approval. But the treatment is slightly different. And that is because their skin color is different. And their nationality, where they come from, is different. Even though they really don't want nothing to do with black folk. Which was why technically we should be the ones saying go back home. But if we're going to tell them to go back home, we need to tell the Ukrainians to go back home. We need to tell the people from Afghanistan to go back home. Now, let's look at Illinois Department of Human Services support services for recently arrived migrants. Oh, they getting everything. They getting the same thing though. Programs and services available for asylum seekers, right? So they're calling them asylum seekers. Emergency transitional housing program, child care assistance, school and education, food connections. So they don't get Medicaid, but they get the federal qualified health centers. They get mental health, and they get the immigration legal services. Employment authorization, protect yourself from immigration scams. Assistance for asylum seekers, right? Holistic case management. Well, where's the holistic case management from that single mother living in a projects in Chicago or rundown housing building, right? That's looking for a mental health, who's suffering from some type of mental health or depression, looking for work, looking to advance herself, looking for proper daycare, looking for proper food to feed her children. But it's all going to the newly arrived migrants. And then so the Ukrainians are called Ukrainian newcomers. The migrants crossing a border are called recently arrived migrants. Look at this. They're getting it all. So he is right. Where was the kicking up dust, the complaining, the protesting when the Ukrainians came here? We don't know what their background are. They wasn't checked. Just like they're not checking the people coming in from the border. The people that came, the refugees from Afghanistan, we don't know if they're sleepers. But they were welcome. I wanted to pull up this article. Guys, please hit the like button. Chicago migrants from Venezuela, Ukrainian refugees receive very different reception. Yes, they did. Yes, they did. Chicago continues to struggle with the number of new migrants in the city. More than 19,000, largely from Venezuela, has arrived since 2022, with more than 11,000 in city shelters and around 3,300 await placement, mostly living in public police districts.
Other signs of support continue to be visible in Chicago neighborhoods 21 months after the Russian invasion of Ukraine. A large established community is one of the reasons the city has been able to absorb more than 30,000 Ukrainian refugees without it becoming a crisis similar to the one Chicago faces now.
And they have relatives over here, they have family over here, they have friends over here.
Frank Sandoval volunteers for the small nonprofit Illinois Venezuelan Alliance. With the exception of a few Venezuelan restaurants, he says the Venezuelan community is small in Chicago, not nearly enough to absorb the over 19,000 migrants who have arrived during the past year.
That's not what happens with Venezuelans. And some of the Venezuelans that are already here are not settled enough to absorb these friends too.
In addition, Ukrainian refugees arrived with a status given by the federal government that made their path easier, including programs that opened the door to work permits right away.
The federal government has programs set up for arrivals from Ukraine and arrivals from Afghanistan that, through local sponsors and with federal coordination, that really allows folks from those communities to get the start that they need.
The federal government is now allowing protective temporary status for Venezuelans who arrive before August 1st. If approved, migrants can get work permits.
It is a step of many that need to be taken by the federal government.
Immigration groups say because there's not a large established Venezuelan community here in Chicago, more federal help is the only way for the city to smoothly absorb so many migrants.
So you have 30,000 Ukrainian that came in 2022 alone, and you have a total of 22 migrants, illegal migrants, and I'm gonna call it Ukrainian illegals, but whatever, illegal migrants crossing the border, right? They have so you round it off, it's a total of 60,000 migrants. Under Mayor Brandon Johnson watch, he received in the 20,000 crossing the border from South America. Under Lightfoot, because he was just mayor 6 months, under Lightfoot, she received in the Ukrainian migrants, right? But it is a difference of treatment. There is. And just because, yes, they do have a Ukrainian district or whatever community there, but is that community big enough to take in 30,000 Ukraine refugees? Come on. So even though one community may be bigger than the Venezuelan, that's still a lot of migrants coming in. But you had a plan for Ukraine. You didn't have a plan for the people crossing the border. You because you didn't care if they was going to sleep on the street or in the police stations. You didn't care what was going to happen with those children, whether they were able to, be enrolled in schools or not. The same in New York, even though I got to talk about New York on another day because those migrants over there are very ungrateful. So ungrateful. But anyway, let's just stick on Chicago. You had a plan for the Ukrainian refugees. You did not have a plan for the migrants, illegal migrants crossing the border from South America. Why not? The money is there. You had one medical company receive, was it $10 million in 1 month? So this is a wealth transfer. This is a wealth transfer of people getting these multi-million-dollar contracts from the federal and the state to try to help out with the migrant crisis. Also, the city of Chicago, Mayor Brandon Johnson's $16 billion budget with no property tax increase goes before the city council, right? And this was today. So they said most likely it's going to pass because all of the aldermen and the people on the council or whatever, the city council, approve the budget.
Right outside of Chambers, Tanya and Terrell. This is Mayor Johnson's first city budget. As you mentioned, it's over $16 billion. And there is a promise of no property tax increase. And he will need, of course, council's approval for it to move forward. Johnson's budget already cleared 2 council committees with little opposition. So this budget is expected to pass pretty smoothly here today. The spending plan prioritizes new investments in affordable housing, mental health services, and environmental justice. It does not, as I mentioned, include new taxes or fees and continues pension contributions from the city. $150 million will be allocated for incoming migrants, but according to data analyzed by the I-Team, that actually may not be enough. The city already spent $65 million, could spend up to $320 million by the end of December.
Difficult situation. This is a total crisis. And, hanging out at the police stations that serve my ward, we see it every day. We need funding. This is an all hands on deck approach. We approved a few shelters that can serve quite a lot of people, and we need a quick turnaround to getting people in those shelters. Is this $150 million in this budget is going a lot to services like food providing, transportation providing.
Mayor Johnson says he does plan to lean on the county, state, and federal government for more help. The budget also includes hiring 300 civilian positions within the Chicago Police Department, freeing up more officers so they can get back on the streets. The budget is expected to be approved by council today.
All right. So they're going to pass a $16 billion budget, but within that budget, they're not going to increase property taxes. You better not. Because if he was to increase property taxes now and next year, his ass won't be reelected. He better not increase no taxes on the residents while he's mayor for his first term, if he even think about being reelected. And the Democrat convention is going to be in Chicago next year in 2024. Are they going to have this migrant crisis, squared away by that time? I don't think so, because you're going to have to stop them from being bussed in. I'm not waiting, because God forbid, but I guarantee you, when the winter starts and the snow starts to come and the blizzards and the minus belows, you're going to start seeing news reports of migrants freezing to death on the streets. That's going to eventually come out, and that's going to be a problem for not only Mayor Brandon Johnson administration, but the Biden administration as well. Because now you have the Ukrainians, they're set up lovely in their apartments with their families, with their hosts. But you got the brown people crossing the border with the babies laying on the street in the tent in cold ass Chicago. With that said, let's see. Oh, speaking of Chicago and the budget, at the same time, New York City Mayor Eric Adams, that got the FBI flashlight up his ass right about now. Mayor Eric Adams' administration is planning to cut New York City's police department police academy class as part of a sweeping reduction in the city budget caused primary by multi-billion dollar migrant crisis. So you're going to cut NYPD police academy class. That means you're going to recruit and graduate less police officers because of the migrant crisis. At the same time, crime increased a good, 30% in New York City because of the migrant crisis. Does that make sense? The migrant crisis in New York is costing New York City billions of dollars. So now they have to, one of his solutions is to cut the police department academy. No, we don't need no more officers because we're already spending too much money on the illegal migrants. But crime is going up 30%. Crime is going up 30%. So never mind about people, the taxpayers getting double taxed in the city and from the New York State. Never mind them being robbed and harassed in the subways, walking down the street. Never mind none of that. Never mind the potholes. Never mind none of that. We got to cut the budget that is supposed to be accessible for citizens, tax-paying citizens, to accommodate the illegal migrants. Now, is Mayor Eric Adams going to get reelected? Because he is running for reelection. I think New Yorkers, this is a good time for you to start looking at other options. Someone who is totally against migrants. I don't care if you're coming from a war-torn country, because first of all, I think the limit is supposed to be 10,000, not 30,000. If I'm not mistaken. Asylum seekers in the United States, it is a limit, and we cannot accept over 10,000 asylum seekers. Right? I'm going to drop the StreamYard link. And if you guys want to come and join the show, please do so. I want to announce my new sponsor. I am taking sponsors again. I have packages. So I need to promote my sponsor. So if you guys notice today and a couple of my other videos, I have my paid promotional ad running. And it's by way of the highest paid. Now, this is Diamond Dave. I've had him on my program hundreds of times before. We do shows together, and he wanted to be a sponsor on my platform. He has his company, highestpaid.online. Yeah. The link is in the description. It's a stock options academy. It is legit. He knows what he's doing. He knows what he's talking about. And he knows how to make money, and you will learn how to make money. So he has a 25% off the VIP package for the month of November. Go to the website, highestpaid.online, and sign up. Make money learning how to do option trading or become an option trader. Learn about the stock market. Because if you want to make money, if you want to be on a path to wealth, you have to invest in the stock market. That's one of the pathways, one of the major pathways. So go to the highestpaid.online, get 25% off, and sign up. Actually, let me play the commercial.
Are you striving for financial growth but feel limited by your current income? Tired of long commutes that steal precious family time? Concerned about rising bills? You're in the right place. The highestpaid.online's Black Friday sale offers a 25% discount on our VIP program with code November25. This program includes over 45 content classes, bi-monthly live broadcasts, 4 hours of personal consultation, 3 hours of mindset counseling, and an exclusive Discord community. Though valued at $25,000 annually, it's yours for a fraction. You'll get it for much less. Plus, receive our bonus PDF. Don't make the biggest investing mistake of your lifetime. We've partnered with Affirm and Afterpay for flexible payment options. Visit highestpaid.online and elevate your financial journey with our VIP program. The economic climate is shifting. Ensure you're prepared. Act now.
Yeah, so go check it out. Highestpaid.online. Let me pull this up. Make sure that this connection is good. Yeah. Let's see. I did put the link if you guys want to come up. I think I did. Yeah, I did. So actually, let me pin it, right? Please hit the like button, share the stream, appreciate it. If you want to come up to talk about the Chicago migrant, I'm about to go into the Senate, UFC Senate fight that almost took place. All right. Okay, so let me say this. So when I used to take on sponsors and then I stopped. But it's like, you know what? Let me write out a structure package, right? But this is the thing. I'm going to be very selective with people who want to be a sponsor or advertise or promote on my platform. Because my listeners, my main age group is between 45 and 55. That's the most. And then it's 55 and up, right? And then it's 35 and under. So you're talking about the generation of people who have money to spend, who are serious about their money and investing their money, generating more money. So the people who are coming on my platform to do business by way of sponsoring and advertising or promoting, these are business people that I deal with. Serious, legit business people. And I'm putting out this disclaimer just to let people know. I don't want, or do I let just anybody come up with any product and pay me and then have me promote it. I'm not doing that. Very selective. So when I advertise, promote, and talk about a sponsor, I do my background checks. I know who these people are. I know how they run a business. I know it's legit. I know you get your money's worth. And this is serious. This is business. I'm all about the business. I always say I don't talk for free. Why would I? So, but my audience are middle-aged people and up. So those are the serious people who are serious about their money and economics. There are some young people who are serious about their money. But the more older you get, the more serious you get about diversifying your assets, your investments. So I just want to put that out there. Let's talk about the fight. Jesus. All right. Oh, and I did drop the link, so if y'all want to come up. I said, okay, so this is the thing with me doing my lives. I kind of want to, I probably do it every Wednesday, but I kind of, my idea is to do it, to have you guys come on and talk about whatever, you know, the topic is or whatever that's going on in society. And one of the other things that happened recently, let's see, where is it? A fight almost broke out in the Senate committee. Where is it? Oh, it's this one here. Oops. Let me rewind this back. And Bernie Sanders' old ass was trying to block the fight. He stopped it. And I'm like, why? Why would you stop it? Sometimes, honestly, at this point, the American people want to see people in Congress who actually care about what is going on, who actually care about the American people. I want to see these politicians fighting for the American people, fighting against corporate greed. So why you had to stop it? Because what? Because you have to have decorum because you're a senator? All y'all are crooks and liars.
Get a little factual on what Mr. O'Brien just said about right to work states versus forced work states. According to the compensation data report, the U.S. Commerce Department, an average salary for private sector employee in 2019 was $4,000 higher than the average employee in forced union states, stating that right to work states pay more. Now, if we also want to break this down to statistics, which was quoted earlier by Mr. O'Brien, about wage differences. If you talk to the Bureau of Labor in non-union jobs, their average salaries raised 14.6% compared to 11% wage increase on unionized workers from 2020 to 2023. If you go back to the percentage of union workers, because if unions was working so well, then you'd see an increase in union jobs, not a decrease. 50 years ago, 33% of our labor force was union. Today, it's 10.1%. If you go back and you start looking at wage earned, if you actually compare comparable wages to ages, not a partisan point, but you go to all wages earned, not just comparing 16 and over to 54 to 64-year-old ages, you'll see that the actual average, according to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, that if you subtract the tweeted at me, him and I kind of had a back and forth. Appreciate your demeanor today. It's quite different. But after you left here, you got pretty excited about the keyboard. In fact, you tweeted at me 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times. And let me read what the last one said. It said, greedy CEO who pretends like he's self-made. Sir, I wish he was in the truck with me when I was building my plumbing company myself. And my wife was running the office because I sure remember working pretty hard and long hours. Pretends like he's self-made. What a clown. Fraud. Always has been, always will be. Quit the tough guy act in these Senate hearings. You know where to find me. Any place, anytime, cowboy. Sir, this is a time, this is a place. If you want to run your mouth, we can be two consenting adults. We can finish it here.
Okay, that's fine. Perfect.
You want to do it now?
I'd love to do it right now.
Well, stand your butt up then.
You stand your butt up.
Oh, hold on.
Big
No,
guy.
no, stop it.
Is that your solution, every problem?
No, no, sit down.
That's why you're a clown.
Sit down.
Look at you.
You know, you're a United States Senator. Sit down.
Active.
Oh, okay.
Sit down, please.
All right.
Can I respond? Mr.
Hold
Chairman?
it. Hold it. If
Hold
we
on.
can't, no,
This is
I have
what
the
he
mic.
said.
I'm sorry.
This is
Hold
what
it.
he said.
You'll have your time.
Okay.
Can I respond?
Oh, no, you can't. This is a hearing. And God knows the American people have enough contempt for Congress. Let's not
I don't
make
like
it worse.
thugs and
You-
bullies.
You have,
And that's
you
what-
have
I don't
the
like
right-
you because you
Hold
just
it.
described yourself.
Hold it.
First of all, Bernie, your old ass, you need to retire. The American people are tired of people like you that has been sitting in Congress for so long and you don't do anything. Now, the Republican, the senator that's sitting next to Bernie, he is a Republican out of Oklahoma, Mark Wayne Mullen. He is a business owner, and people understand. See, the Republican Party, a lot of those politicians are business owners. They're running businesses, they're running corporations. So that's why they're good when it comes to budgeting or cutting or whatever, less regulations or whatever. But the Democrat Party, they are obsessed with power. They love power. Now, they're wealthy, yes, because they are obsessed with power and they do inside trading or whatever. But that is a difference between the two, to where Republicans are CEOs of corporations and businesses, and Democrats are power mongols, right? They love power. And sometimes, listen, you got to fight it out, because if you ever go and look at England, over in the UK, Parliament, right? Parliament is like our Congress is like the Parliament in England, right? Parliament in England is like our Congress, but it's called Parliament. Honey, they be shouting, they cuss each other out. There have been a couple of fights. They are more rowdy. Now, they kind of cooled down in recent years, but they are very hostile. So why not here in America? Because currently y'all not doing anything. You're not doing shit, but having these committee hearings, and then you just do a little slap on the wrist to these corporations.
You have the mic.
Yeah.
You have time.
All right.
Make your statement.
Then let's do this, because I did challenge you and I accepted your challenge and you went quiet.
No, I didn't go quiet.
Hold on.
You challenged me to a cage match,
No,
acting like a
sir.
12-year-old schoolyard
Hold it.
bully.
Excuse
Sir,
me.
hold on.
Hold it. No, excuse me. I have the
I
mic.
will say
Mr.
exactly.
Senator
what you
Mullen,
said.
I have the mic. You have questions on any economic issues, anything that said, go for it. We're not here to talk about physical abuse.
You brought.
We're not
him
talking
in.
about, of course I
And
did.
let me
He's-
show you his hearing, because I want to expose this thug to who he is. In
If you're not pointing at
2013
me, that's disrespectful.
I don't care about respecting you at all. I
don't
respect people that
respect you at all.
respect. So
All right, hold it.
let me
Hold it. No,
You're one of
Now,
100 of the most
hold
elite
it,
people.
please.
Act it.
Please. All right. This is excuse me.
Mhm.
This is a hearing to discuss economic issues. All right. If you have questions for Mr. O'Brien or anybody else on what he has said, go for it. But we're not here to talk about fights or anything else.
I'm quoting exactly what he said.
You can
and
say
this
what
is-
you want,
This is
but-
your witness
This
you
is
brought.
my
And let me,
witness.
I'm exposing him
You can
as a
talk
person
anything you
who
want.
is. So
but
in
no fight-
2013,
Nope.
in 2013, O'Brien was suspended by the Teamsters for intimidating your own members. In 2014, you were part of, what would you say, organizing the harassment, intimidation of the Top Shelf crew.
Chef, not chef.
Top Chef. Okay. And then, and I think in the reports, they said sexual, racist and homophobic slurs and death threats. 14 tires were sliced and 5 Teamsters were arrested. And you said, well, I had nothing to do with it. But however, in that same statement, you said, but if I get called to testify, I'll plead the fifth. This is a witness you brought in here. In 2017, you were removed as lead negotiator by then President Hoffa for UPS for your actions. And then in 22, when this guy was elected, what he said after he got elected was he wanted to bring the mob mentality back to the Teamsters. This is your guy.
And you're obviously going to give him a chance to respond to your questions.
Absolutely, absolutely, because this is my question. Because you called me out. I didn't call you out.
Yeah, you did.
You said anytime, any place.
That's
what you said.
that. Let's get the record
Okay.
straight.
Miss, hold it. No.
Hold on.
Senator Mullen, do you have a question for the witness?
Yeah. I
Okay,
think that's
let's
what I'm getting
hear
at.
it.
So, anytime, any place.
No, that's not.
April is a charity event.
No, that's
for-
not. That's
No,
not. No.
No, it's a, he,
No, we-
sir, he said it, and this is my
He is
time,
here to
and you
tell-
didn't set
no.
parameters on what the questions can or cannot be.
Honey, he trying to set up the fight. He want that UFC fight, honey.
Yes, and I'll ask
No,
you
you're
a
not
question.
going to. We're not going to be talking about
we
physical
understand.
confrontation.
Oh, this is about charity, for a union charity, because this
This
is for
is-
firefighters. And
Do you have a
policemen.
question on his
April,
testimony?
April,
Grow up.
April
Will you
next
please
year.
You have
grow
a
up? You're an
question
embarrassment.
on his. Let's not
You
be.
said it.
You're an
You
embarrassment.
said
You're
it,
an
and I'm just
embarrassment.
simply answering it.
You
Senator
reached
Mullen,
out
go
to
hold
me,
it.
buddy.
Hold it.
I-
Senator Mullen, you made some charges.
Charges.
Mr. O'Brien, do you want to respond to
Yeah, go
the
ahead,
question?
please.
Yeah, I mean, look, the reality of it is, you know,
Accept my challenge,
Mr.
tough guy.
Mullen, tough guy.
Hold it. Answer the questions.
All right, you're one. He
Please.
made a lot of statements, right? And his statements are fiction at best.
Fiction, I read them.
Can you answer,
What?
answer the question, please?
I can't understand him, to be honest with you.
All right.
He rambles so much. What was your question, actually?
Well, you said I made a lot of statements.
No, but what's your
You said-
question? I don't understand your question. Could you repeat it?
You said anytime, any place.
What's your question?
Accept the challenge.
What challenge?
You said anytime, any place. I'm accepting yours, so why don't you come
What
back?
challenge? What challenge are you talking
April
about?
30th. How about we do it for a charity at the Smoking Guns in Tulsa, Oklahoma?
No,
What-
we're not going to be
what was the
talking about
challenge? What are you
physical
talking about?
confrontations here.
You want to fight me?
What'd you say about anytime, any place?
Let's have coffee, discuss our differences.
Oh, that's what you said.
Yeah, that's right. Exactly.
All right, well, let's sit down and have coffee.
Let's
I'd
do
love
it.
to.
I'd love to.
But
It's
the
funny how you're backing out.
okay,
I don't
but
back on anything.
You did.
You're the one. You're a 100.
Senator
Should be the most influential people in this country making changes.
Senator
You're
Hassan-
focused on.
Okay,
You're
thank
focused
you.
on
Why did
debate
you-
that's not
fine.
even relevant.
Text
You're an
me and then
embarrassment.
Senator,
You're an
excuse me.
embarrassment.
Well,
Silence
look,
after
You're an embarrassment to the
text.
state of
this
Oklahoma.
hearing is about the condition of the working class in America.
You
That's
brought
what we're
up
talking.
Well, first of all, Bernie, you about to have a stroke. Shut up. And the working class people, that's what we do. We fight. We argue, we fight. And you're supposed to be for the working class. So sometimes you got to just let people fight it out. And that guy from the Teamsters, corporate greed, he punking out because he was like, I just want to have coffee. Well, the man from Oklahoma is like, no, let's get in a ring. Let's duke it out for charity. Why not? The American people would love that. We need that. We need that passion. We need that fire. Make no mistake, because I see you guys in the comments saying mayonnaise this. Let me tell you something. Stop thinking that these white men and these young white boys are punks, because they can fight their ass off. Stop. They could beat a lot of people up. Stop it.
thug in this.
You're the biggest thug here.
You brought him in.
All right,
You're the biggest thug. Even
Look,
your
I don't know
colleagues call you.
why
a
you do
joke.
what you're doing, Senator Hassan.
Thank you very much, Mr.
Senator
Chair.
Hassan, you got a
Senator
question?
Mullen, please yield. I've been recognized
No,
by the chair.
Back to court.
Now,
Which is exactly.
All right. I need to fast forward, honey, when he stood up, because that was the end of that. That was 8 minutes.
Stand your butt up then.
You stand your butt up.
Oh, hold on.
Big
Oh,
guy.
oh, stop it.
Is that your
All right.
solution every
Hold
poll?
on. No, sit down.
That's why you're a clown.
Sit down.
Look at you.
You know, you're a United States Senator. Sit down.
Active.
Yeah, he's a United States Senator, and he want that smoke, honey. Ooh, I should have did a clip on this yesterday. I think I don't know. Maybe I clipped up and uploaded tonight or tomorrow. I don't know. Then already. No, I'm just saying this. Stop thinking because these, that's just the way white boys get down. They were like, "What you want to do? Let's do it." Boom. They just start punching. No, they fight dirty. They about it. Stop thinking only boys in the hood are the only, prime fighters. Nah. So yeah, so you had a sitting senator, Republican, about to whoop on corporate greed ass. Rightfully so. The arrogance on both sides, but you know what? No, it's not about being entertained. It's like I'm glad to see that passion, to stand up for not only your district, but for the American people. For the American people. This wasn't their first time. This wasn't the first time that these two came head to head. Earlier this year in March, they had a back and forth. Oh no, I want to play the response though. This is the response that Senator Mark had after that hearing. Mark Wayne.
We said any place or any time, any place, you know where to find me, cowboy. I thought, well, this is the time, this is the place, and you don't do that no time. You don't run your mouth unless you're going to answer the call.
Well, that might be the question. Was that the place? Is a Senate hearing the right place to challenge someone to a physical confrontation?
Well, I'd already challenged him to September 30th. He could have done it then for charity. I said April. They have the what's called the smoking guns charity for the firefighters and police force. We could have done it then. I've been happy to, but he said stand up, so I stood up.
Yeah, but what about, just the idea that fighting as a way to solve a problem, is that kind of, are you concerned that that's the way the conversation is happening here on Capitol Hill?
People's been fighting for a long time. When you go back to the 1800s, they used to have canings. It was legal to do duels. If you have a difference, you have a difference. I didn't start it. I didn't tweet at him. I didn't go after him. I have no beef with the guy. I don't even know the last time I got in a street fight. I used to get paid to fight. I'm not looking at what victory is it for me to beat up O'Brien? That would be a shock, right? But he said it. And I just simply responded. If he wants to call it off and we just go have a cup of coffee, fine. Let's sit down and have a cup of coffee. I have no personal. It's not personal to me. He just challenged me, and I accepted the challenge.
Do you regret this moment at all?
You should probably ask him. He's the one that said it. I don't regret asking him. He said anytime, any place. So.
Has leadership talked to you at all about this?
No, not at all.
Have you done any outreach to him at all, or has he reached out to you, O'Brien?
No.
Reached out to you afterwards?
No, not. I ended it and said, if you want to end it here, that's fine. You want to sit down and have a cup of coffee, let's sit down and have a cup of coffee. It's not personal. This is nothing personal. It's just he made the challenge, and I accepted it. It's just that simple.
What about just the general tension right now on Capitol Hill? Do you feel as though things are...
The volume is not low. Turn your computer up.
There's more angst than there has been at other times, and is it preventing you from getting things done?
I don't, I can only speak for my time here, right? Ever since I've been here, there's always been a little bit of tension. This is a total separate issue. This doesn't have to do with policy. This doesn't have to do with politics. This had to do with the guy calling me out, and I simply responded to it. So I don't think the two are really comparable. This has nothing to do with me against unions either. I have nothing against unions. I made that very clear at the end of the hearing. I have nothing against unions. A lot of good friends and family are union members. This has to do with just his thug mentality. Look at his background. Look at his history. The guy has a history of this constantly.
Yeah, I keep saying that it's low. Oh, well, it's lower than the other video, yes, but that's because they're not inside of the Senate committee and it's just a reporter filming him. So, I mean, we don't have to watch this whole thing here.
You know, with a continuing
So
resolution,
it's like
we're going to kick
lower.
something down the road again. Everybody here right now knows
It's
that
nothing I
we're
can
going to
do
do
about
another
it,
CR
basically.
in January. In my opinion, I don't want to shut down the government. Okay, keep the government open, but at some point we need to call a spade a spade. Do a continuing resolution through the rest of the year. Call it a funding bill. Do a supplement for the Department of Defense, and then let's start working on FY.
All right, I don't feel like playing all that. But anyway, okay, so you know what? When I dropped the StreamYard link, I think a lot of people maybe are reluctant to come up. Maybe I still, coming home, just getting home from work. Maybe I need to do, if I'm gonna do a Wednesday live, do it starting at 7, not at 6. But definitely I want to switch to phone calls. And because I think it's easier for people to call in. Do you guys agree? Do you think it's easier? And just put it in the chat. Yes. Yes for phone calls. Put a 1 for phone calls, put a 2 for a StreamYard link. I think majority of y'all will say you prefer phone call. So I'm about to wrap it up. It is low. Yeah, it's low. I stopped. Yeah, the video was lower, but it wasn't that low. J Logic put 3. So 1 for phones, 1 for phone lines, and 2 for StreamYard. Yeah, I'm gonna go. So this is the thing. I need to figure out phone lines. Blog Talk, it doesn't go well with StreamYards. I need to learn how to work free conference call. So what I'll do is next week, by that time I figure out the phone lines and everything, and we'll do phone lines. Phone calls are better because it's so much easier if you whether you out and about and you're listening or at home, it's just easier because StreamYards act funny if you have an iPhone, blah, blah, blah. But yeah, so listen, I appreciate you guys coming in. And let me acknowledge my sponsor again. Some of y'all are familiar with Diamond Dave. If not, you can always go to his YouTube channel, Diamond Dave. I really appreciate and respect Diamond Dave, and I respect what he's doing in his business, highestpaid.online. I'm actually going to sign up for a couple of courses. And so if you want to learn how to, trade stocks, be an option trader or option trading, go to his website, highestpaid.online. It's a 25% off for the month of November. It's money in the stock market. It's money in the stock market. You have to learn how to start, and myself included, we have to learn how to start getting involved in the stock market, trading, it's money in it. And listen, I support businesses like that because I believe in it. And my viewers, even though these are not the people that are in the chat, these are listeners that watch the rebroadcast. These are people who, they are a certain age, which means they're at their peak of income. They're more settled, they're more seasoned, they are more interested in diversifying their finances. Let me move this. Where did I have this? No, I had it here. Yeah, so my core audience are ages 40 and up, well, 45 and up. And then the second largest age group is 35 to 45, and then and anyone under 35. But it's that sweet spot of the mature viewers. Those are the ones that do invest their money, diversify their money. So yeah, check it out. You're going to hear me promoting his business for the month of November because he is running a special 25% off. So go to the highestpaid.online. All right, guys. No cover his face back up. What? No cover his face back up. His face is on the website. What are you talking about? Are you talking about the sponsor? His face is on the website, Diamond Dave. He don't hide his face. Yes. Yeah. So thank you guys for tuning in. Love ya. Of course, we will see you tomorrow. Man Up with Judge Joe Brown. I think I made a decision that the Man Up lives will be live here until I go live on the website, because when the website launch, it will be Judge Joe Brown After Dark, honey, and he will be uncensored. And then the clips from that show, I don't know, I haven't figured it out. Either I'm going to go the Real Judge Joe Brown YouTube and upload clips here, or go live here and upload the clips on the Real Judge Joe Brown on YouTube. Most likely I will be going live here. But anyway, Man Up Thursday is tomorrow. Thank you guys. Thank you. Appreciate you too, Purple X. Thank you, thank you. Honey, I covered Brandon Johnson in the beginning. And let me say this, if you go to this reparations, if you go to the reparations website, just Google Chicago Reparations Committee, and what it says, it's really chicagoreparations.org. Click on budget. It says CWCRC provides 2024 budget recommendations to City of Council. Thank you for supporting. October 27, 2023, we submitted budget recommendations to include reparations in the 2024 Chicago budget to achieve a robust reparation plan, including a fully funded commission, Office of Descendants of Enslaved Africans, and a newly slavery era disclosure and redress ordinance. So listen, I may want to have to do a Sunday show, talking about Chicago reparations. See how I don't know. It depends. I'm going to have a good panel. But again, listen, go Black people. And I'm talking about Black people because, in neighborhoods that's majority white, you're not going to see a reparations committee. But even if you do, I think everybody go and look up and see if you have a reparations committee in your city, and look and see who's on the board. Do background checks on those people. Do some research. Look and see how much money is coming in, how much money they're asking for, where that money is going. And then raise hell, because it's not going to add up. It's going to be going to the wrong people. It's going to be going to those people who want a committee in their pockets, the grants, so what have you. So go and research if you have a reparations committee in your city and start raising hell. Thank you, Queen of Spades, Edwin. Thank you, guys. All right, guys. I will see you guys tomorrow. Have a wonderful evening. Bye.